Wife took my car for her girl's weekend without asking. I used hers to go to my weekend. The car was dirty, no gas, and I got pulled over. Expired tags and unpaid tickets. The car was towed. Now I'm revoking my wife's access to my car. Am I the asshole? I am 36 and I love my wife. 32. She's awesome. Our relationship is solid, but she's a very different person than I am. I am, by nature, an organized and process-oriented person. I work as a project manager and my life is focused around structure, planning, deadlines, etc. My wife is the opposite. She's a creative type with a great career in advertising. Nothing about her life is organized. Everything is haphazard and somewhat chaotic. But this is what makes her good at her job. I understand and accept that and have done since I fell in love with her. We're different, and that's a huge part of her awesomeness. She is cool and exciting and brought new things to my life. I love that. The issue. We both have cars. My car is newer and has better tech, but they're similar. But I keep my car clean and tidy all the time. Her car is a mess, garbage, empty coffee cups, shit rolls around when driving, etc. She hates dealing with it. And because my car is nicer than hers, she prefers to use my car. 3 weeks ago, she's going to a friend's place up in the woods, 5 hours drive, for a girl's weekend. I am going out for the weekend skiing, 3.5 hours drive. We're both leaving at the end of work Friday. At 4 p.m. my wife is done and she leaves. Love and kisses, etc. When I finish at 7:30 p.m., I'm antsy to get going. I go to load my gear, but when I get outside my car is gone and hers is on the driveway. I thought, what the F? Did she take my car? I call her and we have a fight because I am pissed. I have a ski rack on my roof and the gear doesn't really fit in her car. But she's already 3 hours into her trip up north. I don't want to ruin her weekend by making a big deal about this, so I suck it up. There's no gas in her tank, as usual. So I get gas, and as I leave the gas station I get pulled over. I am just effing pissed at this point. Cop asks for license and registration, which I am already looking for and can't find. There's tons of papers and receipts and all sorts of random shit in the glove box and center console. I can't find it. The cop says, I pulled you over because your license plate tags are expired. This vehicle is registered to wife's name of previous apartment address. She still hasn't updated her registration. There's also unpaid citations on this vehicle. I have to inform you that I am impounding this vehicle. The cop writes up a ticket, calls a tow truck, and tows it to the pound. Since then, we have had a couple of huge fights about this. I feel that she needs to be more organized, starting with keeping her car legal. To force the issue, I have revoked my wife's usage privileges of my car until such a point that we're on more of an equal footing and she is mad about it. I am not prepared to budge on it until she takes care of her car situation. Give it to me straight. Am I being an asshole about the car? Best comments. She really screwed you over. How can she even be mad at you? She should be apologizing. She took your vehicle because it's legal and there was no risk of her getting pulled over and the car impounded. She knew her car shouldn't be on the road and she left you with it anyway. She's well aware that she got tickets and didn't pay them. She's well aware her registration is expired. Exactly this. Nothing about what she did was a coincidence. In some places, OP could have gotten arrested because of her actions. Update number 1, 8 months and 7 days after the first post. A lot has happened in the past 8 months. This issue really opened up a huge can of worms that I am having a hard time knowing what I want to do moving forward with. Bear with me. Here's what happened since the first post. Important context. We never joined our finances. We have separate bank accounts where pay goes into, and a joint account that we both put our monthly funds to cover joint expenses, and it's been working fine for years. We also have separate accounts for things like cell phones, car insurances, and other stuff that we had before we got together. Retrieval of her car. I've never had a car towed before, so didn't really know what to do, and holy shit, this was a complete shit show. I called the number for the impound lot, and they informed me that before I could get the car back, we needed to pay off all the citations, get the car compliant, etc. Of course, the DMV doesn't open till Monday. So, I am without car all weekend. Monday, we go into the DMV to sort this out. I find out that there are 47 unpaid tickets for my wife's car, going back for almost 2 years, which cost over $1,500 to clear out. I was dumbfounded. I almost exploded and asked what the F is going on here, and she basically started crying, saying she knew it was an issue, but didn't realize it was this bad. She didn't have enough money to pay for the tickets because her credit card is maxed out, which was news to me too. She has a $10,000 credit limit on her card, so I paid it off. Then, we tried to change her registration from her old address to our address, which prompted a whole other issue. Her insurance has lapsed. I didn't know this either, so we had to get on with her insurance company to get that sorted out. While going through this process, I discovered that her premium was literally 4 times more than mine, and they insisted on a full payment up front for the 12-month period, which was around $4,800. To get everything complete and the car to be released took 3 days. Then we went to the pound to get the car, $375 towing fee, plus a $90 per day storage fee, so $825 needing payment. Again, I had to pay because she couldn't afford it. We get home, and I am just fuming. This just cost me more or less $7,000 in a few days. Our first real fight. After we get home from picking up the car, I am just beyond frustrated and angry at this entire situation and need to have clearing of the grievances with her. This blew up over 4 hours to the biggest fight we've ever had. I thought we'd had fights before, but this was different. It was relationship existential. It really opened my eyes to the real issue, that being I actually don't really know who she is anymore. So many skeletons came out of the closet in this 4-hour roller coaster of emotions. Here's the highlight. Her money situation. I was surprised that her credit card was maxed out. It's a $10,000 limit. She makes great money, about $25,000 more annually than I do, so her lack of money was unexpected. Then I asked her how much debt does she have in total. At this point, I only know of the $10,000 credit cards debt I learned about a few days beforehand. I learned that she had 6 credit cards. All of them are basically maxed out. Total credit cards are $24,000, all with high interest. She also had 3 store cards, all maxed out. Total store card debt is $2,500, and I also learned she had a line of credit for $18,000, also maxed out. She also owes, to various friend and family members, about $8,000. Her total debt is $52,000. She makes the monthly minimum payments only, on everything. At this point, I am shocked and reeling. I can't believe it. I feel physically sick. I didn't know about any of this, and I am at a loss as to why I don't know. I don't even know who she is anymore. We've been married 2 years, together for 5.5 years. When we moved from dating to a relationship, we had a pretty big talk about core values and what was important to be aligned on before getting really involved. Obviously, things like being exclusive are key, but I also said that financial security and being debt-free are very important to me. I made some stupid decisions in my early 20s that hurt me financially, and I had to work hard to get out from under that. I said I have 3 pillars that I wanted to build a future with her on. These were deal breakers. If she's not 100% on board, then we shouldn't continue dating because I was falling in love and I didn't want to go further unless there was a future. Cheating, in any form, is a deal breaker. Financial irresponsibility is a deal breaker. Family, I want to have kids. I reminded her of this during the fight, and she said that I had come on too strong at that point about financial irresponsibility. She already had most of the debt at that point and decided to not say anything at that moment, which she acknowledged was a mistake, because she thought I would have broken up with her there and then. Then she kept hiding it because she wanted to try and rectify it before I found out, but she couldn't. She also pointed out that I never asked about her financial situation, which is true. I didn't, so that was where we were. At this point, I was pretty upset, and I had to leave the house. So, I left and went to stay at a friend's house for the night, which ended up being a couple of weeks in the end. The next morning when I woke up, I felt devastated. I had to take some time off work because I couldn't think straight. I kept racking my brains to understand how this happened. How did I not know? How did I not see the signs or evidence? I felt betrayed. It was like I had been cheated on, but somehow worse. I couldn't bring myself to speak to her for the first few days because I was so upset and angry. I am not usually a very emotional person, so this was difficult to process. I would go from rage to tears and to rage and to despair in a few minutes. I didn't trust myself around anyone to not be a raging asshole. She was blowing up my phone asking me to talk to her and come home, but I couldn't. Eventually, I asked my friend to call her and tell her to give me some space and time, which she did, But later on that day, I had her brother and both parents also reach out to me to see if they could speak. I politely declined and said I need time. Obviously, she was going through a tough time too, and reached out to them for help. The last 6 months have been hard, but we're working through it. We're both committed to that. But I am still struggling with the enormity of the situation. I still can't help feeling betrayed. I have lost a lot of trust in her, but we are in couples therapy to get through this. She's trying really hard to make it work, correct her mistakes, and work on being a more organized and reliable person. I see that. She's made some real major changes in how she runs her finances. She's taken debt counseling sessions and is following those teachings quite diligently and being really transparent with her situation. In the last 6 months, she's consolidated all the cards into one loan and canceled all her old cards. The debt is down $14,000 since this all started. This is all super positive. So, I am hopeful this has a good ending. Best comments. Wow, this absolutely screams ADHD to me. Started in the description of the vehicle mess, reinforced by the financial mess. I never had the credit card debt, but burying my head in the sand when things got too hard, absolutely. My car used to be a mess. I used to put off paying car license and insurance for way too long. Fortunately, I never got into too much trouble over it, but the potential was there. I had the money to pay this stuff, but not the executive function. Honestly, automated systems are your/her best friends here. Set and forget. Also, things like interest/fines for not paying things on time, known as the ADHD tax. I'd like to recommend the YouTube channel How to ADHD for a better understanding of ADHD, especially in how it presents in typically female individuals, which is not like little boys running around screaming in a classroom.